by 9 a.m.
Good morning.
I believe on July 1st, a meeting right on the 1st. How about that? We'd like to go ahead and start, so we'll start this meeting on time. At this time, we'll stand for your silent prayers, meditation, however you see fit. This time, we'll ask Commissioner Owens to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Yes. At this time, we'll have a roll call.
Good morning to you all. Good morning. Commissioner Betsy Shepherd, present. Commissioner Isaac Owens.
Present.
Vice Chairman Wesley Rainey.
Here.
Our Chairman Joshua Joseph.
Alive and present. Thank you so much. So late. But at this time, I'll make the announcements. Mr. Butts is traveling with his family. I heard from him. He said I'll make a note. But if you have a cell phone, most people do. Please go ahead and put it on silent and vibrate. If you need to take a call, please step outside of these doors, away from the doors, so we don't hear your conversation. So that we'll keep this meeting orderly and proper. All right. The next announcement is this is a regular meeting. Commentary from the public or comments or being able to speak will not be allowed in this meeting. But on the conditions of if we're discussing or deliberating on the topic matter that this body deems that someone in office have experience or knowledge or been in the field for a while, we may ask for their input to help us make a better decision. Again, that's being fair and impartial, or what have you. All right. With that, all right, do we have a motion to approve today's agenda?
So move.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that we'll approve the agenda for today. Any discussion? Seeing none, she'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Owens?
Yes.
Rainey?
Yes.
Shepherd?
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Agenda is approved. Approval of regular meetings from June 17th meeting.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that we'll approve the regular meetings from June 17th meeting. All right. Commissioner Rainey, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Shepherd?
Yes.
Commissioner Owens?
Yes.
All right. Motion carries. Minutes are approved. We have no speaker appearances. Okay. No one signed up for specific agenda items. No. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. At this time, we're going to department heads, goals and accomplishments. I'm sorry, reports.
I like to think they're all the same.
Sometimes.
But good morning, everybody. So for community advancement, we're working on a grant for the seed grant. I'm going to be meeting at 1:00 with Monica Renfro, DDA, and River Valley Regional Commission to go over it. We submitted an initial application. We went to the second round, so we're now in the process of getting them to assist us. Attended a motorized trail DNR webinar so that we could apply for funding for motorized trails, along with the other walking trails that we've already looked at. We had our third CHIP workshop. We worked with about 35 people. We had about 50 on the list in total, so we've had about 30 people come through. Applications are being completed, and people are picking up forms like from the Social Security or from their banks and that kind of thing. So we will, the completion is July the 11th, and we will have in as many applications as we can. Ms. Toussaint has been extremely helpful in helping with this process. So just so that you know, she is a great asset to the department. Scheduled to have a USDA 502 and 504 home repair program workshop, because the CHIP program doesn't do mobile homes. And because there are quite a few mobile homes in the city, we want to be able to address that as well. I had a discussion with the folks over at the Community Action Council about the weatherization program. We're going to try to get that set up here as well. Attended the Georgia Land Bank Authority meeting on the 23rd. Attended the Homeless Coalition meeting on the 25th of the month. And we had quite a few people, I think it was about 10 or 12, that we couldn't reach by phone. So I took the liberty to go to their homes, knock on their doors, and get them to come to the session the other day. And they were extremely grateful. So that was good. So that's the community development report. I mean the community advancement report. For community development, we had a historic preservation meeting on June 18th at 6 p.m. The initial request by Mr. Thomas Marshall was denied. We are reviewing it, possible appeal. The application for Adrika Oliver was approved. The details are in the report. And then also for Ms. Janice Mumphrey, that was also approved by Historic Preservation on that day. I'm happy to report that the Board of Zoning Appeals has approved the orchard for rezoning, well, not for rezoning, excuse me, for the variance. And that was done on June 26th at 10 a.m. So I'll be working with the developer to get all of that going, and hopefully we'll have some new homes coming into the city very soon. Planning Commission, we don't have anything scheduled at this time, nor for the revolving loan fund do we have anything scheduled at this time. And that's both reports.
Any questions for Mr. Hill?
This is what the Historic Preservation Committee did with the Mr. Marshall.
Yes.
What was specifically
They were asking to screen in the front porch, and from the committee's review, they didn't view that as in line with historic preservation. However, I was asked to take a look at it again, provided the city manager with some additional information. So hopefully they'll be coming back up to talk to either city manager or the committee.
And Commissioner Owens, basically in the historic preservation guidelines, included is no enclosure of a front porch. And so the board or the commission made the decision just based on the guidelines that they currently have. So I did mention to them that if there are guidelines that they would like to update just based on, where we are now, because I forgot when those guidelines were approved.
Yeah, like 97 or something.
Yeah, I
yeah,
don't
very
remember.
old.
But I did ask them if they would like to present updated guidelines for this commission to approve just based on where we are in society today, that they could do that, and then we would I will submit them to you all for review. And so Mr. Thomas, he can appeal to this commission. But I had a conversation with him on Friday, and he's looking at doing something different that we think will fit within the guidelines.
Okay. All right.
Put another point on that, just to make sure y'all know that if you do get an appeal, the standard is not do you agree or disagree with what they did, but did they abuse their discretion in making the decision? So you don't get an absolute, so I really think you ought to have them. There's a different standard than just if the project acceptable or not.
Yeah, I think that was right. I primarily asked the question because based on the guidelines, as I said, they're old, and that might be something that needs to be revisited just so it can be adjusted for that. Because as you look at different neighborhoods and different people are always trying to do something to make their homes better. And I think with the area, that would be something that might need to be reconsidered. So that answers it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more questions for Mr. Gill?
Yes, sir.
Is that committee full? I saw 4 members when I came to the meeting.
No, sir, they do need one additional member on that
Additional
committee. Yes.
Member.
And
Are you sure? Because who was missing? Susan Barge was missing, so there was 4.
Yeah, I think she was just missing.
Yeah, Susan Barge was absent. I think on the HPC, I
That's
think
what
there was only 5.
HPC, right, it is 5 on HPC. It was the other board.
The planning
That-
commission and
that-
zoning.
right,
right.
Zoning.
Need additional people.
But as far as that board,
It's-
That one is full. That particular one has 4 members plus the chair.
right, okay. All members showing up.
Yeah, she was just out of town. She was out of town
Okay,
that particular meeting.
City attorney, if we'd like to make a change on the board, what's the process for that?
I have to look, I think they're appointed for a term, if they're a term, you have to wait till the end of the term.
Okay. Could you have the people up? I think we need to make some changes on the board. Based on what I see. Yeah. So, other question, the orchard.
Yes.
Because this thing have been going back and forth, I'm a little lost. Because it's so needed. I went to a collaboration meeting this last week, and talking about housing there, and the new school board superintendent was there, and he was sharing his side of things of why we need housing for people that's coming in. What are we just doing single families there? Was that shakeout?
That was a shakeout in
Okay.
that particular subdivision, yes. But
Right.
then, I went to Macon, talked to developers. I am actually setting up virtual meetings for developers that can't come here
Right,
for an initial meeting,
right.
but then to be able to preview our space to them so that, if it appeals to them, then we get them to actually come. But we've had 3 developers come from that Macon session, and we're still in dialogue. So the opportunities to do additional types of homes, whether it's townhouses, duplexes, it exists. It is just a matter that particular subdivision ended up narrowing down to just doing single family.
Right, the meeting, I want to encourage this commission. I was away during that meeting, but I watched because I started getting so many calls and Facebook messages. Let's broaden our audience when people come and make complaints. We had 3 people who lived there, and a person that didn't live there come and make the complaint about what they didn't want in that community. It's upon the city authority to decide what they want communities to look like. And from what I gained from that whole thing was that people were having a conversation not about what homes go there, but the likelihood of who would be out there. And, and I understand you don't want renters coming in and out because of, they're in and out like a revolving door sometimes. But when the quality, the price point, location, that kind of weeds some things out. There's some things you can do around Section 8 or what have you. That's also a concern and everything. So, but I think we missed a big opportunity because, you know, the doctors, the nurses, the teachers, the principals that come here, they're still not ready to buy this yet. But those single family homes will take longer to build than if we had a diversity of homes out there ready to be built and people can move in already. And sometimes buying is a transition or what have you. You start with renting and leasing, then you decide to buy or what have you. But when the opportunity present again, let's have a more thorough conversation, do what's needed to at least come closer to what developers are asking for if it's reasonable and if it makes sense, and not have a few people hold up the progress of something that the city needs to do. Because I'm really frustrated about it not working out where that's more diversity of homes out there for people wanting to stay and live in that area. But that's what I encourage. I don't have any other questions. Any other questions? Thank you, sir. Good morning, Ms. Alexander.
Good morning.
Morning.
Sales tax collection for the month of June was $434,502.94. That's all I got.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Let's see. All right. Fire.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This will be for reporting period May 27th through June 24th. We had 60 total calls for service. 3 were grass or rubbish fires. We had 19 EMS calls, 5 motor vehicle accidents, and 1 of those included an extrication. 2 structure fires, 2 gas spills, and then 3 calls for power line down. As far as department news goes, we attended the CRIS Public Safety Roundtable on the 18th. We're preparing for our mass casualty event that we do every year, and a big part of that this year will be Unified Command, working out of Unified Command with the Unified Command truck. Palmetto Fire Tactics Group came to town and taught a leadership class to us. Lieutenant Averill attended Massey this year, the Metro Atlanta Firefighters Conference, and one of the classes that he attended was taught by Palmetto Fire Tactics, and it made a big enough impression on him that he thought we should bring it to town and teach it to our people. So we did that. It was a great class, just about accountability and leadership, not just on the fire scene, but from the minute you walk in the door. So that was a really good 8 hours. Statewide burn ban. We talked about it once, but I wanted to reiterate. There's a statewide burn ban in place until the end of September. So residential burning will resume on October the 1st. And in order to do that, you have to get a burn permit through our department. With Rick Smarr's help, we added a link to our webpage. So if you go to the city's webpage, under fire department, there's a link with the form there. You can fill it out, bring it to Station 1 for approval. That's after October the 1st. Until then, there's a burn ban in place. The motto for this year's Fire Safety Week, which will be October 5th through the 11th, has been announced. That is Charge into Fire Safety. And it's lithium-ion battery safety. And a lot of people think, I don't have an electric car, that doesn't apply to me. But anything that you use that's rechargeable now is probably a lithium-ion battery, whether it's a cell phone, a power tool, a golf cart, a child's toy. So we'll be talking about some safety as that leading up to that week. And then finally, I attended the Fire Safety Symposium last weekend for Forsyth. Went for a day and attended some classes. One of the classes I attended was a carbon monoxide detector class. It was a 2-hour class. It made a big enough impression on me that I went and bought one for my house because I realized I did not have one, and for both of my daughter's houses. So it is called a silent killer for a reason. If you have gas or propane in your house, or if you have a garage that's attached to your house where you store a car, strongly urge you to purchase a carbon monoxide detector if you don't have one. It was $27 at Walmart, and there's a lot of other things you can spend $27 on, but they have a 5-year life, and I would encourage you to do that. Yep. Yep. And that's all I have.
Any questions for our chief?
Chief, on the burn permit,
Yes.
will there be a cost of that?
There is no cost. What we ask is that you keep the piles small, that there's a water source, that you're with it at all times, that you put it out at night. Once it gets dark, you put it out. And even then, if there are some issues with neighbors, we're still going to come out and kind of determine if we need to put it out or not. But those other things must be in place before we approve it.
Sir,
Yes, ma'am.
quite often you see people burn barrels in their yard and wire over just illegal.
It falls under the same thing. There needs to be a permit for that. The state does make some exceptions for outdoor fireplaces for, kind of recreational fires. And that's a fine line. So what we ask is that you apply for the permit. Let us come out and take a look at it, and then we'll make that determination.
Not a question, but Chief Alligood, can you just touch on the portable carbon monoxide devices for hotel or?
Yes. Another thing that we discussed in the class is that you can purchase. Now they're a little more pricey. You can get them through Amazon, but they make portable carbon monoxide detectors that you can hook to a backpack, put in your luggage when you travel. Because what they found is that a lot of those deaths happen in hotels, unfortunately, where there are indoor pools with heaters that are improperly vented, or next to mechanical rooms that may be improperly vented. So those are issues. If you have a portable detector, it'll help determine that. There was a New York Yankees baseball player who was with his family for spring break. His son passed away. It's been determined that was carbon monoxide. His room backed up to a mechanical room that was improperly vented. So it's called the silent killer because you don't smell it, can't taste it, can't see it, but it's deadly.
Thank you.
Definitely be staying next to any chemical.
It's something to think about.
Yeah, make sure.
Yeah.
No mechanicals. Any other questions?
Just a statement. We have had several people pass away with carbon monoxide in this community.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a real problem. Your first signs of it is flu-like symptoms.
Yep.
Now how it actually kills you is it cauterizes off your capillaries and basically starves your body for oxygen.
Yep.
Is how it does it. So if multiple family members are experiencing flu-like symptoms, just be aware it's a possibility.
And we do have 4 gas monitors on our trucks. So if you have gas or propane in your house and you have some of those symptoms, or if you think you need to have your home checked, we can do it, and the gas department can do it. We can check to see if there's a presence.
Thank you. And the Camilla Mayor is a really cool associate of mine, so I have to thank her or what have you. So
Okay.
Glad we was able to coordinate that with them.
Yep.
Yeah, she's a lovely speaker. So thank you for that.
Okay.
So, all right. Next is HR. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
You have my report in your packet. I'm just going to highlight a few items. The very first one, need to make a correction on that. We've extended a conditional offer of employment to a community development director. That should actually be planning and community development director. I apologize. Old habits are hard to break. But she is slated to come on board on July the 8th. As a matter of fact, she was in town yesterday and stopped by for just a few minutes, tie a few loose ends. On May the 30th, the final application packet was submitted for the upcoming renewals of the natural gas, cyber, fleet, inland marine, and our other umbrella policies. Received word yesterday that a quote is ready, and that will be reviewed this afternoon. Also, on June the 6th, received the renewal quote from Principal Financial Group. This is for our supplemental policies like life, vision, short-term, long-term disabilities. That policy will be renewing effective August 1st with no increase in premiums. This is the second year in a row that policy is renewed without an increase. And then lastly, June the 10th through the 13th, I had the opportunity to attend the GOGPA Spring Conference in Beaufort, Georgia. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to attend that once again. Classes taken were managing risk and controlling loss, employee recruitment selection, and then a continuing education class outlining the Ashley Wilson Act, which is also oftentimes referred to as the Public Safety PTSD program. And that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Any questions for HR? All right. Thank you, sir.
I have a question with one comment.
Yes, ma'am.
I saw on Facebook where somebody Snapchat copied your job opportunity and they just posted it to record your job opportunities. So it just came down here and saw what you had posted up top. And then the sharing recording.
Well, thank you, whoever did that. Thank you.
I saw
Appreciate it.
this yesterday.
Thank you.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, sir. All right. Courts, Mr. Court. Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, we had a total of 356 traffic cases, 30 criminal, and a total of 386. We had 5 bench warrants ordered, 36 license suspensions between our cash bonds, fines, deposits, probation payments, restitutions, and web payments. And Georgia Department of Corrections, we took in $50,058.33. And we had one refund for $500, and that's it.
Any questions for courts?
No.
Thank you so much. Hold on, Chief, one moment. Sorry. I do have a question. Wait, not.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The vacancy summary, is this accurate? Up to date is what I mean.
As of June 24th, yes, sir.
June 24th. Okay. All right. So we're hovering around that number. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Sorry about that, Chief. Good morning to you.
Good morning. I'll start with the police department. The reporting numbers are from May 27th through June 23rd. Part 1 crimes, we had a total of 30. Unfortunately, we did have one homicide, one reported rape. Motor vehicle thefts, we had a total of 1. That one was recovered. Aggravated assaults, we had 5. Larcenies or thefts, we had a total of 20. One of those were entering autos, 2 shopliftings with 1 adult arrested on those 2 cases, and then 17 other thefts. Burglaries, we had a total of 2. One of those were residential. Part 2 crimes, we had a total of 102. Incidents reported 94. 9 community contacts. 139 citations issued with 34 warnings. And also calls for service, a total of 1,162. Departmental news, we actually have 3 applicants. We just received an application today, this morning actually, in our hiring process. We also have 2 cadets that are starting the police academy on Monday, July 7th. And then congratulations to Clinton Latham. He started on June 23rd. He's a patrol sergeant. Again, I talked about him in the previous commission meeting. Brings 17 years experience, a lot of different certifications. So we're really glad to have him on board in that frontline supervisor position. We also are participating, have participated in, this was past tense, the Watermelon Parade, which was very well attended. We're also preparing for the Back to School Bash that's coming up in August. And then we also want to give a special thanks to Commissioner Owens, who received our items. So we're hoping to work out some of the kinks. We got some really good printer and laminator. What we want to do is offer children ID cards. That was a really big hit in the Martin Luther King event that was held. So we want to make that more of a thing that we offer continuously. Also want to just bring mention to 4th of July coming up. We are making several posts about the 4th of July. Understand that we will have extra patrols on the road, and they will be proactive patrols. So just to kind of put it out there. That's all I have for the police department. All right. Animal control, same reporting period. Dogs and cat intakes total of 221, quite a bit. City intakes had a total of 77. Intakes from Crisp County, 85, and then other entities is 59. Total calls received, 67. Number of adoptions and rescues, 34 adoptions, 10 rescues, 2 owner reclaims. I don't even like this stat because it's old, but animals currently at the shelter, 28 dogs, 40 cats. I want to take that stat off. I don't like it. Citations issued, none in that reporting period. However, there were 15 warnings that were issued, and there are still openings at the shelter. We received a lot of dog food donations at the shelter. We continuously just thank everybody for their generous donations that help that operation, help it keep going. The Houston County Humane Society donated several small pet crates, so we'll have some more of those to loan out as well. So thank you to them. And then we continue to just say adopt, don't shop. So we have plenty of dogs and cats at the shelter. So please, consider adoption. That's all I have for animal control. All right. Finally, codes. Same reporting period. Abandoned vehicles, total of 3. Inspections, they've done 2 in that reporting period. Tampering with utilities, we did have 1. Unsafe structures, 3. And again, this time of year, weeds, junk prohibited, total of 49, with 12 others. As far as departmental news with codes compliance officers attained a 6-hour International Codes Conference, the CEU inspection class in Leesburg. We actually just signed them up yesterday for another class that will be held. I believe it's going to be in Tifton. It's a workshop type class that kind of gets them up on some of the more recent trends when it comes to codes enforcements and kind of seeing what other cities are doing as well. So it's kind of like a collaboration type of meeting. Also, codes compliance officers have begun inspections of the Christian homes, which is under construction currently. And then codes compliance officers also interacted with 30 different contractors, including the ICC codes class. As far as our permitted, Christian Homes is continuing to move on, and there's also 2 single-family homes that are been permitted, so we're moving along with that too. That's all I have for codes.
All right, any questions for codes?
Yes, sir. I need to know the update on the gym on 6th Street, 6th Avenue, and Joe Wright Drive. And what can we do for AS Park? It's looking horrible over there.
We've had contact with them on a couple of different occasions, and I think at this point we might be closer to citing because we have had some different issues with them as far as keeping the grass mowed. Is that what you're referring to? Yeah, so I think we're at a point now where, we'll have to just step up our enforcement when it comes to citing that. But we'll be in contact with them.
Okay, that's the AS Park property. Now, on the gym, if they can't take it down, which is understand, it's such a huge area, that middle section needs to come down or something needs to happen. Somebody's going to get hurt. You got loose boards flying down. Every time a storm comes through, you got more tin on the ground. So something will be done eventually. Either we're going to have to be responsible for somebody getting hurt. I keep praying. I've been begging for 9 years, and that's fine. But somebody help me get this situation. If we just can't take it down, I should just take the center section down. Or repair it where, I won't get hurt.
City manager, if I'm not mistaken, that is in the process, and there are things that are moving forward with that.
Yes.
Right.
So
There is a legal process when it comes to that.
Yes, we have to go through the process, but there is, it's in motion. Let me just put it like that. There are several things, as you know, and Tommy, and I don't know, because if the property owner, if they don't remove it, then it will be at the city expense. And
correct.
Yes, and she's talking about that middle section, and so.
You had to start within 270 days. We barely did. We did start.
Right.
270 days.
We still post a sign for sale, but let them be for sale for the next 10 years. They don't excite you. You got it for sale because they freaking have it. Still have the same problem.
We legally can take it down, but it is a big, our ordinance and the code really is
file company, repair or tear.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments for those?
I have a question. When with codes and trash debris
Sure.
is put out at a person's home, whose responsibility? And I know the answer, I think, but I just want to make sure whose responsibility is it to clean up that area? Because we see more and more where people are either moving and leaving it right there, or their rental property, and it's left there. And I have a situation in our area where, basically they move out or they're put out, the stuff is left there, and then it stays there, and nobody takes ownership of it. Whose responsibility would it be based on who will codes go for?
Well, the first thing is, and what we're experiencing, I'll just talk to this real quick, is we experience that people are just dumping trash on somebody else's property. And what we don't want to do is cite the person who isn't responsible for it. So unfortunately, we have to look into it. And first thing is, and it's not very fun, but our codes officers look for evidence as far as if they can kind of determine who did it, whether it be video cameras, whether it be going through the trash and seeing if there's addresses, things like that, or any identifying things. So that's the first thing that we do. When it comes to landlords specifically, what you're talking about, because we are seeing that too, it would fall on the property owner, the landlord. And we've had several cases like that. And it's something that, we've tried to bring awareness to, we've cited, we've done a lot of things, and yet it continues. But just know that if you're seeing anything like that, report it to us, and that way we can start that whole process of identifying and then citing.
Right. And I think that's the important thing there, to call codes.
Yes, please.
Codes will call you back. If they don't answer right there, they'll call you back, give them the address and the location for it. And then that way they'll know it. And the reason I'm saying that is because I actually follow the process.
Yes, the process works.
Sure.
Actually.
And in some cases, the person putting trash on city property. And they just take it, basically put it on city property. And we just need to make sure of that, because it could become it can do more harm because of people coming through, and the trash is still not rolling. One night, pouring down rain, and somebody riding through, the trash is coming out, and they literally didn't see it, and it could have caused a major accident right there in a residential neighborhood. So I just think that if you see it, go ahead on, and even if it's already been reported, we still report it again, because it's not going to hurt to have it reported again. So, because in some cases, it's the same property. It's the same property.
I'm glad you brought that up, because, our process for reporting these type of things works. And I encourage people not to call third party, call codes directly, because that way we have a log, and that way we can properly enter it into the system. That way we can make contact with the complainant if we need to, for whatever reason, get more information. There's a whole host of reasons why I just encourage people to use the process and not to call third party. That's what it's there for.
One other thing, sir, if I may. Congratulations to your codes department. They don't discriminate.
They do not.
Nope, they got me taking out my from our house now. So I also know they're taking out the code store. They're probably taking out that one now. It's my grandmother's property. Because it's been sitting there for years. I mean, they don't discriminate now, believe me.
No, I make sure of that.
The old cold storage building I had to that other day, it's like a much better in that area. Over near the old sewing factory area. I came through that yesterday. Looking good.
Awesome. Yeah, I encourage our entire department, whether it be codes, animal control, or the police department. Hey, look, if I'm guilty, cite me too, because it doesn't matter.
My family too, so they know that we don't.
There you go.
Thank you, sir.
No problem.
All right. Good morning to you.
Good morning, how are you all?
Good morning.
Alright. Since the last commission meeting, we have worked on the public works, divisions within the public works department. We have mainly worked on customer reported and routine maintenance work orders for the month of June. Cemeteries and parks has completed 80 work orders, stormwater 4, gas 26, street 66, and the water department 65. We have 2 updates on the ARPA project from the Water Department. Phase 1, the project is 90% complete. Phase 2, notice of award sent to Inliner Solutions on June 20th. And that's all I have.
Any questions?
I do have a question. I'm not sure if this is for you or who. I'm not exactly sure. But if we cut the water off for maintenance in a subdivision, do we notify that subdivision
Yes, sir. We're
ahead
supposed
of
to.
time?
We're supposed to. Yes, sir.
How do we do that?
What we'll do, we'll type a letter, a notice, and the superintendent, they should, they'll have someone to deliver it to each address if it's a small subdivision, smaller one. But also we'll send out a public notice, and Mr. Rick will post it on Facebook, or we'll get it in the Cordele Dispatch. But yes, sir, we do send out notices.
And we did that today?
Yes, sir.
I'm not
Was
sure.
We didn't send out letters
We
to,
didn't for-
not the letters, no, sir.
Okay.
But
Just Facebook is all
yes,
we
sir.
did today?
Yes, sir.
My phone's blowing up. So,
Well, I shared it. When they put it out, they
Okay.
always share. So,
okay.
and
Alright.
sometimes emergency, we don't have time to notify them by letter. If there's emergency coming, you don't
Yes.
have time to
Well, so
notify
the one today is an emergency?
No, sir, it's not an emergency. It's scheduled work. Yes, sir.
And how long will it be before it be shut down?
Until the
Jim
work-
did, ma'am.
Until the work is
Yes, ma'am.
complete.
Until the work is complete. Okay.
We'll do. I'm sorry.
No, and I don't remember how many homes, because I know you said small subdivision, and I've been out to Highland Grange, but I don't remember the number of homes. But I do think, knowing that this was upcoming, we should have had letters
Yes, ma'am.
that was delivered to those homeowners to notify them,
Yes, ma'am.
because not every person is on Facebook.
That's true. Yes,
So
ma'am.
we just need to, going forward, make sure we provide, especially if it's not an emergency, provide notice to the homeowners or people that their water will be turned off for maintenance.
Yes, ma'am.
So if I understand correctly, the situation we have right now, we could, for maintenance purposes, we have a subdivision who water is cut off, and the only notice that we provide was Facebook.
That's from my understanding.
Yes, ma'am. That's correct. Yes, sir.
The procedure is that if it's a small enough subdivision, just so for clarity,
Yes, sir.
then we mail or hand deliver
Hand deliver. Yes, sir.
hand deliver letters, notice, and the legal ordinance, which would be the Cordele Dispatch. And we'll also use Facebook. I think the main thing here is the lesson learned is that Facebook cannot be the only thing we use, because everyone is not on Facebook. And it's a really bad time because some people have kids home.
Yes, sir. That's true.
And so I can imagine, like, if it was in the summer, maybe we could kind of get away with it because maybe people are working and kids are in school, but it's really a bad time now, So let's make sure we follow, talking to anybody, just for clarity of everybody. Guess I'm saying, make sure we follow that specific protocol that, if it's small enough, and if it's scheduled enough, there may be ways we, how many homes are in the subdivision? A lot of them,
Probably 40 to 50.
40 to 50. And that's not a lot. I can door knock that and all. So I can definitely drop letters off. But I would say maybe we need to define further where it's small versus medium versus large, because we don't want a disservice to anybody in any community. So I apologize to the people who's dealing with that. And I can just imagine having kids with no water right now, without no prior notification. So let's just do better next time, and but make sure we follow those protocols. And also, if they connect our water, maybe a task that we can give our water department to make a call
because, you know, if we find ourselves late in the game and we haven't delivered ladders or, you know, got it in the Cordele dispatch, maybe that's the time when we just ought to pick up the phone and call folks or something, or robocall. I think robocall is very inexpensive if we're calling about 40, 50 homes. At least give them some type of notice where, you know, if they need to run out and get extra water, case of water or something, these people know. I've worked in after school program, child care program, and when no water goes, you're in trouble. Big trouble. So, yeah.
Like you said, tell, if you can't get them, just email them, text them, or do something that, and we can notify them.
Yes, ma'am.
Not putting this on you.
Oh, no, sir. Go ahead. No, sir. No, sir.
On anybody, just, you know, it's hard to. Any other questions coming in from the board? Thank you so much for everything you're doing.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Social media and marketing.
Honorable Chairman, members of the City Commission, City Manager Redding, good morning. You have my report in your packet. Just by way of update, we continue to work in your websites, both old and new, and one of the things that we're trying to do certainly is keep the work going on the new website and move toward a launch date on that, but also in both websites, clean up some of the documents and forms that are in there. Many of those are so bad out of date. They've got old logos on them. They have old contact information on them. And so we're working with all the departments to update those and make that, in fact, make them look a lot better as well. So we're working on that, continuing to build your social media platform and, of course, your YouTube and other platforms. And we do that by offering positive content. And other than that, and wishing each one of you a very happy and safe Independence Day weekend, that is my report. And I'll try to answer any questions should this honorable body have any.
Any questions? I would say the town hall that we had, I'd love to see that on the Cordele website for the community. Was a good turnout from the community. So a lot of people have shared that. I'd be interested in that. City of Cordele also share those photos from people who have posted those photos. I've seen in the past when we shared other people's content, other things' content. So,
Honorable Chairman, I will ask that if you know where those are, I've not seen any, but if you know where those can be found, I'll be glad to get those and share those for this commission.
okay.
If you will, sir. Thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, the reason I didn't show up, they said because we would have been a quorum and you know, oh, okay, you understand, okay.
We had talked about it.
Oh, okay, I didn't know. Okay, when I saw it, I shared it with you know, everybody, but I couldn't show up.
Yes.
So the community understand that I wasn't being facetious or anything.
Right. No words.
And that was my bingo night too.
That's the real reason. That's my bingo. But we really, it was a dynamic
I'm
time.
so posted.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, it was good. But thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Next is UCNT, Ms. Debbie. Good morning to you.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I don't have the numbers for water treated yet. It's just the first, but we did treat 63 million gallons of wastewater, which is way down. Again, another low month, which is great. We got 5 inches of rain in June, so it was, fairly wet. We're still waiting on the whole effluent toxicity test results. That's done annually, and hope we pass. It should be coming back in the next week or so. And we're collecting all the data needed to renew our groundwater use permit. It's done every 10 years, and we have to submit a whole lot of information to go with that. And one of the items is the water conservation plan that y'all have in your packet. it needs to be approved and signed, and that's part of the packet we're gonna send, and hopefully we'll have it all together this afternoon and get it out of here before the holidays.
Understood.
Thank you. Signed. But anyway, other than that, everything's going right along. The power went out at the plant the other day. The generator cranked right up. It was awesome. Yep, we're proud.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, thank y'all.
Y'all heard Ms. Dillon, right? I'll be right here with my pen before we leave. Anything else I need to sign. Right. All right. All right, Auntie, good morning to you, Bobby.
Morning, Chairman, Commissioners. Only thing I really have to report is we got our new phone system now, and it is up and operational. Everybody's got voicemail, so we're back to normal, almost. Almost. We got a few little bugs to work out, but we're getting there. We should have most of it done today. And that's pretty much all I have.
With question, with us talking about the problem that we had with getting notification out to the subdivision about the water being shut off, would that be something our new phone system be able to do?
I can look into that and find out.
If that's the case, that would be a quick fix to it right there.
Mm-hmm.
There, just go ahead and put it out.
I can look into it and get you an answer. Sure can.
And I won't, yes,
I
ma'am.
have a comment on that. You can call Code Red and give them that neighborhood, and they will make the phone calls out like they do for a bad storm.
Oh, okay.
They told me that when we lost water at one of the schools, that we could have done that through the sheriff's department. I don't know who you need to contact, maybe,
Oh, okay.
what's her name? Kathy. But they will do that for you.
I think we have
Yeah.
Code Red on our website too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we have Code Red, so.
And I just want to have a thorough conversation around this. City attorney, legally, is it a particular way that we have to give notice? Okay. So I just want to make sure calls will suffice legally, and that we're not legally required to give it, through the dispatch or the news or something like that. So, yes, ma'am.
And I think in order to do that, are they required to be signed up with Code Red? Because I'm just thinking, how will we have their phone numbers unless we go through each after?
Code Red would do it.
Right, but I'm saying,
The ones
do
that
you
may
know?
not be signed up for Code Red wouldn't get a notice.
Right. Okay, that's right. They would not. So,
But it
but
might
they
be
could
something-
notify their neighbors, though.
Right.
Right.
But it might be
So we
something
still
you
need
can
to
put on
cover
the
our
water bill.
bases.
You know, you might want to sign up for Code Red. That way you can get alerts from the water system.
Yeah, because I think we have it on our website.
So how about this? If we know a neighborhood is going to be out of water, I see some communities they have little yard signs, just like campaign yard signs, where they put out there and say water will be cut off, and then we can, say call this number, or I know you can't put the dates on there because the dates would change, but at least something where maybe that little slot, little plastic slot you can slide dates in, because I've seen that as well in some communities, and I just think because usually it's a subdivision, it's around a cul-de-sac or something that everybody come in one way, go out another way, or just there are certain neighborhoods or roads that they have to turn on and turn off to get in and out of that subdivision. So maybe that's another avenue that we can do where they may not have to go house to house and deliver letters because but just covering all bases, or what have you. And, if we can put that takes little effort to do. Just have a couple of signs that will say, and we can put on there the next day or whatever. However, not a great thinker in the mornings, especially with traveling so much lately. But I think that'll be another way that we can get to this, and so people are not surprised. And any one of our phones ringing off the hook, or getting blown up, and you ask text messages sometimes nice. So we can do that. I'm sorry, Bob. I know it's not IT.
I know.
But it was related.
It was kind of related.
Information
You know, how we can leverage technology.
And I just think from the various discussions this morning, we have several ways that we can get the message out. The important thing is just to remember going forward, if it's not an emergency shut off, then at least we know there are various ways that we need to get the word out to our constituents.
Thank you so much.
You bet.
All right, with that, I believe we go into our agenda items. Agenda item number 1, second reading of an ordinance declaring portion of the municipal street system as unnecessary. Do we have a motion in a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that we discuss the second reading of this ordinance. Any discussion? All right. Seeing none, we shall proceed to vote. Commissioner Owens?
Yes.
Commissioner Rainey?
Yes.
Commissioner Shepherd?
Yes.
All right, motion carries. It is approved. That was second reading. All right, consider and approve the water conservation plan. Ms. Debbie will be coming for us. All right, do we have a motion in a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and second that we consider and approve. Any discussion? Nope, she says no. All right, let's go to vote. Commissioner Owens?
Yes.
Commissioner Shepherd?
Yes.
Commissioner Rainey?
Yes.
All right, it is approved. Now we just got to put the ink on it and get that done. You're welcome. All right, that brings us to the city manager report. All right.
Good morning.
Good morning.
City Manager's Report for July 1st, 2025. Would it help if I turn it on? And there's a public notice. It was posted on Facebook, but of course we know there are different variations and ways we can get this information out to the residents, and of course the work involves replacing a water valve at Pine Hills Country Club, 15 Aberdeen Circle, but the water service will be interrupted in the Highland Grange area until the work is completed. So again, we appreciate the residents' patience, and we will definitely make sure if it's not an emergency work. If it's not emergency work, we will get a notice out to the residents. Just a recap on past activities. There we go. Mr. Johnny Ford dedication was held on June 27th. And Mr. Ford dedicated more than 34 years to public service, first in the Georgia House of Representatives, and then as a member of the Georgia Department of Transportation Board. So it was a very nice ceremony. Exit 101 would now be the Johnny Floyd interchange. Honorable, that's right, Johnny Floyd interchange. Just have a few photos from the event. Next up was the Watermelon Parade, which was held this past Saturday. Good participation, and thank Mr. Smart for always making sure I have photos to take, because sometimes my photos don't come out that well. So these are just some of the entries that were in the Watermelon Parade. Recap from GMA, the Georgia Municipal Convention in Savannah. Of course, Commissioner Isaac Owens served as the flag bearer and our voting delegate, and you can see him there in action. In action, so we appreciate that. Other highlights, Commissioner Vestavia Shepherd was sworn in as president for District 8, and so she will lead District 8 this year in terms of meetings and getting information out to the cities in District 8. Other convention highlights, we received welcome remarks from Savannah Mayor Van Johnson, and then Justice Verda M. Colvin of the Supreme Court of Georgia. She had the children's reading event and was the speaker at the business meeting and installation of officers and board of directors. Other upcoming events, the Ministers or Faith-Based Organization meeting will be held on Thursday, July 10th from 9:30 to 10:30 at the Community Clubhouse. The 5th Annual Back to School Bash will be held on Saturday, August 2nd from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Summer meals are available at no cost to children 18 and under at the high school, and then Bridging the Gap summer program. And then one of our partners from the faith-based organization meeting shared information regarding the upcoming Empowered Woman Conference this month in July in Atlanta. And you can scan the QR code for additional information. Additional upcoming events, fireworks on the Flint, Friday, July 4th at the Veterans State Park, 9:30 p.m., sponsored by Marvair. The parking fee is $5. Land Bank meeting will be held on Tuesday, July 8th at 1 o'clock p.m. in the boardroom at the Power Commission building. DDA meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, July 8th at the Main Street office, 8:30 a.m. And then, of course, the faith-based meeting Thursday, 9:30 at the Community Clubhouse. And then the Community Clubhouse Coordination Board meeting will be held on Monday, July 14th in the courtroom at 10 a.m. Additional city updates, as was announced earlier, Miss Mary Darby was selected as the Planning and Community Development Director, and her starting date is July 8th. She has a lot of experience. We are looking forward to her coming on board, and she will be attending our next meeting on the 15th, so the community will have the opportunity to meet her, and she can introduce herself to the community. Express disposal holiday schedule, commercial accounts, and housing authority accounts will be picked up on Saturday due to the holiday on Friday. But also just a reminder that express disposal, if you have service with them, they will pick up 2 bulk items a week on the same day as your pickup, in addition to tree limbs. And for additional information, please call Express Disposal, and especially regarding the tree limbs, because some people will cut down a tree and place it for pickup, and then they will call and say, well, they have not picked up my yard debris or my tree limbs, but they go out there and it's a tree. So questions regarding your pickup, just call Express Disposal. The city dumpster location hours for this week, Tuesday through Thursday from 8 a.m. until 4 p.m. We are looking to hire a person for the dumpster location. This is a part-time position. Of course, we know these hours are during the week. A lot of people are working. And so, again, that part-time person, or with the hiring of a part-time person, we will be able to open on Saturday as well. So if you know of a person looking for a part-time job, please have them contact HR for an application. We are happy to see that the former TV station downtown is being demolished. As you all remember, we had to take this one to court. We received the abatement, and so the demolition is in process. And you have the meetings that I attended in your report. And the last item I have is that city offices will be closed on Friday, July 4th, in observance of Independence Day, and city offices will reopen on Monday, July 7th at 8 o'clock a.m. And that's all I have, unless there are questions.
Question about the old TV station. I know the unfortunate passing of the owner caused it to be, demolished. But was it unrepairable? I'm just curious.
It was in bad shape. As a matter of fact, I think and Mr. Smart would have some background information, but if I remember correctly, when the TV station moved, the owner who is now deceased took ownership of that property because that was his goal, or not his goal, but that was, I guess, the agreement that he would, demolish that building.
I asked because it would have, I think if it was any possibility, it would have been a great museum. With how legendary it had been to the Cordele community for all those years.
Yeah, but it was,
Yeah.
yeah, it was in a state of disrepair. So
I think if we have opportunities, though, it can be being start thinking about that, especially that it was right there downtown. But I know sometimes the structures are repairable. But yeah, so I just for curiosity purpose.
and that is a good point because in Savannah I attended the code enforcement class, and there were a lot of good points that were made during that class, because even with the housing that we have, or the houses that are in disrepair, and a lot of those we are having to go to court to abate, and sometimes if they are in good condition, instead of receiving the abatement and then demolish, if they're in good condition, see if we could have someone develop that home, because when you demolish, you're removing the home, from your housing stock. Whereas if it's in a condition where it can be repaired, then we can add to it. So
I think also to that point, I think when we talk about development, we talk about House Bill 581, restore some controversial. I was thinking about that this past week. One of the things I think we have an opportunity to craft some things similar to what 581 was proposing, but not the whole thing, with the uncertainty of the bad parts. And I do hope we can come together and have a workshop to talk about how do we help developers and homeowners. And part of that, I like when we talk about reviewing the historic committee 1970s regulation as opposed to what's going on today. But I do think we need to have a time where we think about the city, where we can become more welcoming to developers and people who want to take, support Cordele development, housing development, business development, because there was some good parts about it. It was just the uncertainty of how we did it and what we would be committed to. But as I shared with some of the people who tried to urge us to do it, there's enough things that we can put together under state law that will allow us to still incentivize and give not necessarily release, because and I also want to say this conversation, we have not raised any millage rate, because that's being put out there. We have not raised property taxes. Homes are being assessed at higher values, which of course, when you pay property taxes, is paid on the value of your home. And so by necessity, yes, your taxes will go up because your place is worth more. That's common. That's common. I won't say common sense. Common sense ain't common to everybody. But I do want to say that we have not raised taxes, because one thing I'm clear on, when we raise taxes in the city, it hurt people in the city more, because the city has to pay 3 taxes: city, county, and school board. So I'm never for raising any taxes from the city if we can help it, or what have you. Putting that out there against disinformation and misinformation, with the claims that we have raised taxes, we have not raised property taxes. Our time being here, we have not. And so, putting that out there. But I do believe that right now we're in a spot where development want to come, and we need a plan how we can give some relief
use the tap lines, look at that fee. We need to bring that conversation in. Because we went to a class, I don't know what it was. No, he wasn't in that class. It was the other, but economic friendly cities from the conference. And a little upset with Jim maybe because they audit my transcript that I took it twice. But I always learn something new or what have you. And I just encourage people, Weymouth, Georgia, Thomason, Georgia, Americus, Georgia, they similar population size and don't have the advantage of being next to 75, has done really well. And you know, I'm gonna say this, but the common theme as I listen to the young people who came back to their city, those people embrace new ideas. They embrace education because the commonality with each one of those cities where a young person left and went to school and came back. And now they in America, the downtown development person. And Thomason is their economic development director. So when young people come back here and they have new ideas, the best thing is to find something for them to do and brighten up the communities. Because out of all the things they were doing, that was the number one commonality that I found. That people came back home and improved home. And they wasn't met with resistance, or what have you. And that, I believe, one of the factors that made all the difference to where they are now and everything. I encourage that, but I do think we need to have a work session and bring in people and figure out how do we make it more friendly to attract development. Mr. Hill, I know you've been working diligently on things like that, but I do think we need to come on in and figure out how do we make this better for people who's trying to do this work with codes and that we do, like the city manager said, that there's the house has good structure, good bones, and could be done. How do we do something with taxes? How do we do something with permitting? How can we do something? Because that was another thing with permitting. They were saying if we may reduce or waive fees, but we got to realize what we're going to get is investment coming back for years of paying property taxes. So we're looking at a permitting fee up front, but if that's preventing people from being able to do that, we're neglecting the house, or something being properly taxed and adding value, water services, gas services, and all that stuff. So it comes back. It's an investment, but yeah, I get off that. But so that's what I was thinking about. If we can, at some point, if the rest of the commission is interested in having that get started, figure out how do we move forward best with becoming more to initiate that kind of thing where the house don't have to be torn down. We can make it easier for people to say, yes, I'm ready and willing to do that.
All right, that's all I have.
Any questions for our city manager? Yes, ma'am.
As you all know, the city commissioners and our city manager and clerk went to GMA 19 through 24. Well, the convention center is not handicap friendly anymore. I would like to personally thank you, Madam City Manager, and you, sir, Commissioner Owens, for assisting this decrepit old lady down here in Savannah. I was about ready to come back home on the 20th. It was just a different change for me this time. Being that I'm recovering from back surgery and knee problems, it was awful for me. I want to come home Friday. But thanks to these two individuals, I would like to publicly thank them, that you all know that we got some caring people here at the city of Cordele. And thank you, sir. You gave me a sad look. You knew I was carrying around something like that. Even you saw my face that day. Even if they turned it down that way, I was catching that. But I did make all my classes. I completed all my courses, sir. But it was hard this time. It was harder than ever been in the 9 years I've been serving. It was awful.
Yeah.
And you can't take painkillers and go to class. So I took Tylenol extra strength. It didn't work. But I did. I survived. Thank you all so much. All of you all.
in terms of what Commissioner Shepherd is sharing, is from a logistical standpoint, not the classes. You know, the convention was good. It's just they have added on to the convention center. It's really nice, but there are some things that I think they need to revisit, and so they have sent out the link. So make sure you complete that, because that was one of the comments that I made regarding handicap accessibility to the facility. So just wanted to, just clarify that in terms of logistics, there are some things that they need to address.
And also to Chief Allen, I took fire safety. I really enjoyed the class. That was one of my classes. Yes, sir. I'll talk to you at the lake.
That's interesting that you bring that up, because, I mean, what we take for granted, because I love like, wow, they have to walk further to classes. But I was like, wow, they did an amazing job, and everybody was talking about. But I was just in a retreat type style thing in Chicago this weekend, and one of the things somebody said, I think all elected officials should have to use a wheelchair to get around the town, so they'll see how inaccessible things are. And in my mind, I never seen that version of the convention center, because I guess I took for granted my mobility or what have you. But that is definitely, but we also, that calls to think about where all points are accessible. And they talked about that a little bit, where, when we build like things like downtown, people love the cobblestones or the bricks, but they'll become uneven. So with people in wheelchair and walking space, while it may look good, there are some mobility issues that we don't think about and we take for granted. And so I was able to have that conversation this weekend with people also, elected leaders in their community. They were saying and sharing an option. To me, I never thought about it that way. So even in our designing our new structures and everything, I think that's caused us to start thinking about, like, how is that accessible to everyone? Because if you're in a wheelchair, we don't want to exclude you. If you have mobility issues, we don't want to, because hopefully we all get older, hopefully, So as we design and building and thinking about these things, I think that would get paused. And thank you, Commissioner Shepherd, for bringing that up, because I think that as we hopefully grow and do this, we think about those things in our how we construct and develop.
I think security got everybody that I know with. I know we need to be at Atlanta Airport. We need to rent you a wheelchair ride.
There you go.
I'll pay it between you.
There you go.
And even without a disability, those cobblestones on River Street, they hurt when you walk across those. And I've been dealing with leg pain, so I know at the convention when I spotted one of those golf carts, I was like, okay, I'll catch a ride.
Everybody was on, even the employees, GMA employees. You can get on for the GMA employees. I mean, it was so serious.
But it's a nice facility, but definitely some things that they need to revisit. So, and thank Commissioner Shepherd and Commissioner Owens, and I know the others, had other events and things going on, for coming out to support me in the workforce development class. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, she did a dynamic job. This great speaker, she was on time. She and the Americans and the guy was from where?
Noonan.
Excellent job.
Thank you.
Yeah. Great presentation.
They were all jealous of our videos. Yeah. Thanks to Mr. Smart.
That almost turned into a battle of the cities. Because it seemed like everybody was trying to one up, and then after you got through, nobody realized they could one up.
Mr. Chairman, and myself, and Mayor, one week in Kitchen got back to the motel. We couldn't get what we just had to sit out. We couldn't go to our room. We had to catch the ferry back on.
Right.
To the motel. But then coming to the end, that was another story.
So,
we got the Marriott. Yeah. Thank you all so much for your time.
Thank you. So, the attorney have anything?
Chairman, I would respectfully request an executive session on litigation.
Any other reason we need to go in executive session? Okay. Litigation, you say?
Yes.
You all, heard the city attorney, can you make a motion for executive session and purpose of litigation? Make a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of litigation.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that we enter into executive session at this time, 10:20, for the purpose of litigation. All in favor, let me know by vote aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Chair in executive session 10. It's been properly moved and second that we come out of executive session at 10:26 a.m. All right,
36 or 20?
10:36.
Okay.
There you go. All right. All in favor, let me know by vote aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We're out. Entering back into regular session at 10:36 a.m. All right. Anything else before we close out? All right. Seeing none. All right. We shall ask for a motion for adjournment.
So move.
Second.
It's been properly moved second that we adjourn this meeting at 10:37 a.m. Good morning. All in favor, let me know by vote aye.
Aye.